I don't have lice for this video. See my scalp? This is my scalp, kids. It's super gross up close. Hi people, STubbornMom.com, and today we are talking about lice. What is lice? How do you get it? And how do you get rid of it? Yes, lice is kind of terrifying, and I hate it. So we're going to talk about that today, but before we do, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, ding the bell, so you know when more of my videos are coming out. First of all, what is lice? So lice is like these little bugs that are very jumpy, and they like to rest on something warm. So they're attracted to human bodies and animals because they like the warmth, and they eat blood. Oh, it's so gross. Ooh. Once they find a host, they lay eggs, and that's where the fun begins. Yeah, that's when they start to spread. They reproduce these eggs really quickly. They produce a ton of them, and then they hatch within a span of 7 to 10 days. And then there's more of them, and then they do the same thing, and it never ends. How do you get lice? Obviously, I am a clean person. Look at my cleanish home, right? You can be a dirty person or a clean person from any socioeconomic background. It doesn't matter. Lice knows no friends or enemies. It will go to anyone. Like, it just wants a warm body. Of course, if you are around animals that have lice, you're more prone to get it. And yes, in lower socioeconomic areas, people that aren't noticing it, and they aren't caring for maybe children that have it, that just are ignorant of like that they have it in their head and they don't have the support to eradicate it, it might be there more. But it doesn't mean that if you have lice that you are a scrub or you're super dirty or gross. In fact, lice really likes clean hair, and that was the problem for us. Back when my girls, I would say early elementary to late elementary years is when we got lice the most. We had it for like 3 summers in a row. Now we tended to get it spring, because I remember going into summer being like finishing up getting rid of it. In our family, we happened to get it at that age, but you know, babies and toddlers can get it, preschoolers can get it. I'm really glad we didn't though, because babies and toddlers have really fine hair, and it would just be like so heartbreaking to nitpick through that and to have to get rid of it at that age. So I think my kids did get it at that common age. They're old enough to start doing sleepovers, and having a child in our home that brought lice into our home is when we first got it. Sleepovers can definitely be the cause of starting to get lice. Also, my kids were just at the age where they were making friends, and they'd be like, you know how girls are, they just hug each other and they kind of like touch heads. They might trade hats, and you know, everyone's hats and coats are hanging there in the cubbies next to each other. Lice can totally jump from hats to coats. So making sure that you're not sharing hats, hairbrushes, anything that goes around or near the head, dress up. So kids should just play dress up at home with their own things, but you know, they could catch it from playing dress up at someone else's house, or if they go to a preschool or a daycare center that has dress up that isn't like a plasticky kind of material. If it's anything that's like fabric, lice can cling to that. So that's a bummer. But I'm pretty sure my kids got it from the sleepover and from just being affectionate with each other. So by the time I found out that my kids had lice, it was a bad infestation. And once I saw one of those little suckers digging its head, like boring its head, like this louse, bore its head into my kid's scalp. I was like mad. I was like filled with mom rage. I was so going mama bear on those little things. So I'm going to tell you how to get rid of them. I use the word louse. It's like mice and mouse. Like mouse, mice, louse, lice. Get it? So louse is singular and lice is plural. Once my kids had lice, and they had it, like I said, 3 times. I have 3 girls with long hair. I spent so many hours nitpicking. Nitpicking, it's a phrase you might hear. Someone who likes to be very detail-oriented and like pick on all the details. Actually, historically comes from lice picking. So people who are good at picking out nits. Nits are the eggs that the lice leave behind. Those are called nitpickers. There are some places, like I think like super fancy places like on the East Coast and West Coast, where people have that as a profession. The parents don't know what they're doing, or all the moms are like working full time. They don't have time to do it, or they're super freaked out. Like you start talking about lice and they're like, they take them to these professional nitpickers who actually go and they do all the nitpicking for you, which I'm pretty good at. I think I could make a lot of money being a nitpicker, but I don't want to. Gross. So I'm going to tell you about what I had to do inside of my home to make sure that we didn't get lice again, and what I had to do with the kids' heads. So the first step is the kids' heads. Check the crown of the head and underneath the back of the scalp. That's where you're going to find where most nits are. You might find a live louse or a couple of them, and if you see that they've laid eggs, the nits, then you need to do treatment. You need to do treatment anyways, but you know that you're in for it more if you see a bunch of nits. Nits are going to hatch, but first you got to kill the live ones. So you sit down. I usually would put my kid in front of the TV because they hate me going through their hair for a long, long time. I mean, it would take like at least an hour a kid because I was being thorough, you know? And so they could watch whatever they wanted. And I usually had them, because they were little at the age, they would just be shirtless. That way, that's another fabric thing that's out of the way. I would have a fine tooth comb. Ooh, let me go get it. Okay. I think they call it a rat's tail comb. So you want to use this to make sure to separate like a portion of hair, which I would do. So you make a line and you check that. You make a new line so that you can section the hair into really small sections and be very thorough as you check. So I really recommend one of these. I also have a lot of clippies. And these are really great for pulling back sections of hair. I have a lot of these. They're plastic. When you're done with anything that you're putting in the hair, you're going to soak it in super, super hot water, because super hot water will kill the live lice. The goal when you're first checking is whatever you see, whether it's a nit or a live one, you need to get it out of their hair. You know it's a nit because it's not dandruff. If you just shake the hair a little, it doesn't move. If you shake it and it moves, it's just dandruff. It's just some gunk that's in their hair. A nit is kind of white, but it's kind of brownish clear. It's like an egg for a bug. Ugh, so gross. Are you itching right now? So it's kind of that color, and then you're gonna take like one tiny strand of hair, one hair follicle, and just pull that out. So what I would do, some people say to use gloves, but that's nonsense, because your kid is going to scream the whole time because the rubber is going to pull their hair. If you want to pull your kid's hair for an hour, they're not going to sit still. So I don't use any gloves, but right next to me, I told you the tools I have, but I also have a trash can and I have a whole thing of baby wipes. Wipes is something you should have around if you have little kids anyways. It's great for stains and all but needs. Anytime I found a louse or a live one, I would stick it in the baby wipe and throw it in the trash can. Have like a trash can liner, a garbage bag, or a grocery bag in the trash can so that as soon as you're done, tie it up real tight and throw it away, and then that is all gone. The first step is to go ahead and comb through every square inch of the scalp, and from the beginning, from the scalp all the way down to the length of the hair. So the whole thing, from the top to the bottom of almost every hair on their head. If you're not thorough with the nitpicking step, God help you. You have to be thorough, you just do. If that freaks you out or you don't think you're up for it, please try it. But then if you can't, find a friend who has experienced it before who can help you. After you have nitpicked, then it's time for treatment. Now, you can get Nix or Rid at any CVS, Walgreens, Kroger's, like anywhere, Walmart, Target, and any drug store that is near you. And that will do the trick. However, it is more toxic. It has toxins in it. It's a chemical. It's really good at just killing all the live lice. And if you follow the instructions and do everything it says, it's really helpful. It even has a little comb in there that is helpful. I didn't use it too much, but that kit tells you a lot about how lice operate, and it's really great. However, one of my daughters had a really bad reaction to that stuff. What would happen when they were little, we would put the treatment in their hair and it would sit for the amount of time the instructions said, and then we wash it out. Well, they were just too little to kind of like put in a chair and put their head up to a sink, so we had them sit in the bathtub. And then when I rinsed it off, it got on her body, and I rinsed it off, but she still was so sensitive that she got hives and had a negative reaction to the typical lice treatment chemical stuff. So we ended up getting something that was like 2 or 3 times more expensive, and they did sell it at the drugstore, but it was a more organic, natural option. So I had to double extra check her after we went with that treatment because I wasn't super confident in the product, but eventually it did work. And I will try to look up and see what that exact product name was. I will put it down below in the info section of this video. So after you've done treatment, all you've done is killed the live lice, but there still might be nits behind. So if you've done a good job nitpicking, you should have it all. But after you've done that treatment, the instructions will tell you to wait a certain amount of days. After that time, you've given any left behind nits, which are lice eggs, to hatch, develop into full live lice, mate, and reproduce more nits. So you need to follow those instructions, and what you're supposed to do every day before you would do the second and last treatment is to pick more nits out so that they don't hatch, grow, reproduce, and lay more eggs. Gross. So that's the whole process of that. It's exhausting. Something that I learned the 3rd time around was a really cool trick. There are some things people say not to do. They say, you know, don't shave your head, which if you have a little boy, just shave his head. It's fine. It won't get rid of it. Like, they could still be in there, but like if you have like more like Caucasian hair that's straight and it's not curly, and when you buzz it, it's super short, I mean, that is going to help. That doesn't mean you shouldn't treat your house and your belongings, but I think it would help. But I don't have boys, so I don't know. One thing I did was the next summer we did little short haircuts. That way, if we got lice, it would not take me an hour to do each head. It would be like a half hour, so it saved me a lot of time. But haircuts are not the solution, and you should never go to a salon if your child has lice. That's rude. One thing I realized was like, I'm not getting lice. My husband did a treatment on himself because he got paranoid. He was like, oh, I think I have it. And I never saw any lice in his head, but he did the treatment. I don't recommend you ever put that stuff in your hair unless you know you have lice, because it's just not good for your hair. If you've got good, thick, rich, healthy hair like my kids did at the time, I think it's good to do the treatment if you need it. But if you don't need it, you shouldn't be doing that. I never needed to treat myself for lice. I've never ever had it. I would tie my hair up in braids and go ahead and proceed with doing everything I needed to do to get my kids' lice out, but I never ever caught it. So I was like, what is it? Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, like I've said before, clean people get lice. They're very likely to get it because the louse, when it jumps from one place to another, it's trying to cling on, and so it jumps onto hair follicle and it grabs. Well, if your hair has a lot of oil or hair products in it and it's dirty, it kind of slips off. So it has a harder time grasping onto dirty hair. So do I have dirty hair? Well, you know, I was putting in maybe some oils. I definitely had a lot more conditioner in my hair than the girls did because they were swimming a lot more than me. Their hair was in the chlorine and it was getting really dried out. I wasn't doing that. I also had like products on my hair, like hairsprays and stuff after I do it. Doesn't it look pretty? So I realized that I wasn't getting it. There's a couple other things. I mean, I blow dry my hair and I was straightening it or flat iron it or whatever. So I was applying high amounts of heat to my hair. So the last time that the kids got lice, something I added to my regimen was to flat iron their hair. And of course, again, I would be using this and making lots of small sections of the hair. Ooh, ooh. I would make all these hair sections and I would flat iron each section after I nitpicked with really high heat, like a flat iron on it. I think it's dead. So that was my conclusion. If you have any experience with that, leave some comments below. That's the treatment part. In addition to that exhausting task, here's some more stuff you can do so that you can collapse when you get to work the next day. Stay up all night, and basically everything in your house that is cloth or fabric has to be treated. Now, what do I mean by this? When you buy the NYX or the RID package at the drugstore, it has a spray in it, and they recommend you like spray your furniture and your carpet with it. And I was like, whoa, pump the brakes. I'm not spraying that chemical crap all over my house. So I wasn't really crazy about that. I think we did like a tiny little minimal amount of treatment with that spray, and I did a lot of vacuuming and of course emptying out the vacuum. You could go really crazy and like mess with all your curtains. Any stuffed animal that my kids had, dolls, loveys, this was the sad part. Anything that could be washed, you wash it. If you can wash it with hot water and then dry it really well, do that. And anything that they don't have to have or play with, you just put it in a big trash bag, tie it super tight, put it in the basement or out of sight for your kids for like 1 or 2 months. Now that's a big ask, but it's bugs. And kids are scared of bugs, maybe even more than missing out on their toys. And I'm talking like little ponies, Barbies, anything that's even plastic with fuzz on it, like anything that was in the category of hairy, we had to take it away. And they were really sad. So the second and third time that lice came around, I started getting wise to like, I don't have to wash everything. You know, of course I would wash their bedding and their pillows. Oh, and we did get mattress covers that like zip around the mattress, and they're supposed to be bed bug proof, and the same thing for their main pillow. Anything that I didn't want to have lice jumping onto, gross, I would bag up, and then the stuff that needed to stay in the room, I did like several loads of putting it in the dryer on high heat for a while, because heat will kill stuff too. So you don't technically have to wash every little thing in your house. It kind of depends how freaked out you are by the bugs. So that's your choice. But there are some hacks, like I said, the flat iron and using the dryer. And the weird thing about when they got lice is they just got to the age where I stopped giving them baths. So when they're little and preschool and early elementary age, you know, they take a bath and you wash their hair for them, and I'm doing everything. And then when they get to that part where mommy, I do it myself, or like you want them to be independent, like I can't wash everyone every night for the rest of my life, right? They need to take their own showers, and you're teaching them how to shower, you know, like rinse all the shampoo out and all of that. And when they got to that age, my eyes were not on their scalp all the time. You know, they would start brushing their own hair when they got out of the shower and taking care of themselves, because, you know, I have all these young girls and we're working on hygiene, and I want them to like take care of their own butts. Felt kind of terrible. I'm like, this is because I wasn't on duty and it's all my fault. But, you know, it was just something we went through. It's part of parenting, you know. Life is hard. Lice is terrible. It's super disgusting, and if you get lice, it is gonna be hard, but you will get through it. Life is hard. Don't let the experience of having lice harden you. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up. Please comment down below about what your experience with lice is. If you have any lice hacks, let me know. Okay, bye. If you have lice, you are not gross. You're just very warm. If you want to start a nitpicking business with me, I would love that. Please comment down below. You can just nitpick your husband,